Odema, a young and vibrant woman, lived in the small village of Vigo in Africa. Her life was simple yet fulfilling, surrounded by lush greenery and the warmth of her loving family. She had a best friend named Solina, who was as wicked as she was beautiful. Odema trusted Solina with her life, never once suspecting the jealousy that burned within her heart. The village of Vigo was abuzz with excitement as word spread about Odema's upcoming wedding to her beloved fiancé, Kwame. The entire community pitched in to help with the preparations, and Odema found herself surrounded by well-wishers and admirers. Solina, however, seemed distant and preoccupied. Odema chalked it up to the stress of planning her own upcoming trip to the city. Little did she know that Solina's true intentions were far more sinister. As the wedding day drew near, Solina became increasingly possessive of Kwame's time and attention. She would often show up unannounced at his house, claiming to have urgent news or needing his advice. Odema, trusting in their friendship, never suspected anything was amiss. But deep down, Solina seethed with jealousy, consumed by the thought of losing her best friend to another man. On the night before the wedding, as Odema lay sleeping in her room, Solina crept into the house. Using her key, she let herself into Odema's room and climbed into bed beside her. In the darkness, she whispered, "Odema, wake up. I need to talk to you." Odema, confused and half asleep, mumbled, "What's wrong?" "I can't do this anymore," Solina confessed, her voice shaking with emotion. "I can't watch you marry him tomorrow and have him be your everything. I need you to know that I've always loved you, Odema, more than anyone or anything. I can't let you go." With those words, she leaned in and kissed Odema passionately, her lips warm and demanding against hers. Stunned and confused, Odema struggled to break free from Solina's embrace. "Stop it, Solina. This isn't you. You're my best friend." But Solina was relentless, her grip on her only tightening. As their lips met again, Odema felt a cold, hard object pressed against her back. It was Solina's knife, and she meant business. "You're mine, Odema," she growled. "And nothing and no one will ever take you away from me." Panic rising within her, Odema fought back, her heart pounding in her ears. She tried to push Solina off of her, but her friend was stronger, more determined. Desperate, she twisted her body, trying to escape the blade. As they rolled across the floor, their clothes tangled and their breath coming in ragged gasps, Odema knew she had to do something, or she would lose Kwame forever. In a sudden burst of strength, she managed to break free from Solina's grasp. The knife clattered to the ground as they both scrambled to their feet. Solina's face contorted with rage, her eyes blazing with fury. "You pay for that, Odema," she hissed, lunging toward her. But Odema was ready. She dodged to the side, grabbing a nearby vase and hurling it at Solina with all her might. The vase connected with a satisfying thud, knocking Solina unconscious. Breathless and trembling, Odema stared at her friend's lifeless body, horror etched on her face. She had killed her best friend. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she knelt beside Solina, cradling her head in her lap. "Why?" she sobbed. "Why did you do this? We could have been happy together, just the two of us. Why did you have to be so selfish?" The answer, she knew, would haunt her for the rest of her life. As the sun rose over the village, Odema fled from her home, leaving Solina's body behind. She could not bear the weight of what she had done, and the guilt was a living, breathing thing inside her chest. She had no idea where to go or what to do. All she knew was that she had to get away from this place, from the memories and the pain. Word spread quickly through the village that something terrible had happened in Odema's house. Kwame, distraught and confused, raced to the scene, only to find his fiancée gone and his best friend dead. He collapsed to the ground, tears streaming down his face. "Odema," he sobbed, "where are you? I love you. We can get through this together." But Odama was nowhere to be found. In the days that followed, the village mourned the loss of Solina and the tragic events that had transpired. Kwame, heartbroken and angry, struggled to come to terms with the fact that Odama had been driven away by his own best friend. He searched tirelessly for her, but she had vanished without a trace. As the weeks turned into months, hope faded, and the people of the village began to accept the harsh reality that Odama might never return. Meanwhile, Odama wandered aimlessly through the city, lost and alone. She tried to find work, but her mind was never truly on her tasks. All she could think about was Kwame and the life they could have had together. She wondered if he had ever forgiven her, if he had ever stopped looking for her. In the end, it didn't matter. She could not go back to the life she once knew, not after what she had done. Years passed, and Odama remained in the city, living a life of solitude and regret. She occasionally thought of returning to her village, of facing the consequences of her actions and trying to make amends. But fear held her back, the fear of losing everything all over again. And so, she continued to wander, forever haunted by the ghost of her past, unable to find peace. One day, while wandering through a marketplace, she heard a voice that sounded eerily familiar. It was Kwame, calling her name. Her heart leapt into her throat as she pushed through the crowds, desperate to reach him. When she finally caught up to him, he looked older, more weary, but his eyes still held the same sparkle she had always loved. Odama, he said, his voice full of sorrow and understanding. I've been looking for you for so long. She couldn't speak, could only stare at him, tears streaming down her face. He reached out and took her hand, squeezing it gently. I forgive you, he said, his voice barely audible above the din of the market. I forgave you a long time ago. I just wanted you to come home. Together, they walked through the streets of the city, hand in hand. Odama didn't know how she could ever repay Kwame for his kindness and his love. But she knew that she wanted to spend the rest of her life trying. They spoke of their time apart, of the lessons they had learned, of the people they had met. And as they walked, a sense of peace began to settle over Odama, the first she had known in years. Eventually, they returned to their village, arm in arm. The people looked upon them with a mixture of wonder and hope, and Odama knew that they would never be able to forget what had happened. But she also knew that they would forgive her, if not for her sake, then for Kwame's. Together, they built a new life, filled with love and understanding, and dedicated themselves to making the most of the time they had been given. In the end, Odama learned that sometimes the greatest tragedies can lead to the greatest acts of courage and self-discovery. She learned that love is stronger than death, and that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. And so, she lived the rest of her life grateful for the second chance she had been given, cherishing every moment she spent with Kwame, her true love and her true home. The moral of this story could be interpreted as the power of forgiveness, redemption, and the resilience of love. Despite the immense tragedy and betrayal that occurred, Odama's eventual reconciliation with Kwame demonstrates that forgiveness can heal even the deepest wounds. Additionally, Odama's journey of self-discovery and her realization that love is stronger than death highlight the importance of resilience and hope in overcoming adversity. Ultimately, the story teaches us that while life may present us with challenges and heartache, it is our capacity for forgiveness, love, and perseverance that enables us to find peace and happiness.